Time. Welcome to your weekly live stream. And what we are talking about today is why your success is actually guaranteed and how you can know it. And I am here for this conversation. I think I'm going to share some of the science. Michelle, hello. So good to see you. I'm going to share some of the science today behind why your success is guaranteed. And I want you to also just think about, like, if you knew that you were literally wired to achieve any goal that you have and that you didn't need to know how to do it, would you, and like all you had to know was that you wanted it, would you be excited? Would you drop any sort of fear or doubt or anxiety or worry around achieving your goal? And I don't know about you, but my answer is like, yes, 100%, 100%. So this is going to be a powerful conversation today. As always, if you're joining live on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, please pop me a comment. That's how I know you're here. Jen is in the house. Good afternoon. It's so good to see you. We're talking today about why your success is absolutely guaranteed, the science behind it, how you can use it to drop any fear, doubt, or worry about achieving your goal. And I just think this stuff is so powerful. And before we get into it too deep, because once I go, I'm gonna go. Y'all know, if you've been watching these, I'm going to go. Today, our live stream is sponsored by my signature masterclass, Your First Six Figures. If you're a woman who is in sales or a female entrepreneur who wants to absolutely crush it and break six figures or more this year, you can check that out and actually receive that on demand now, which is really exciting. AliseArcher.com/6figures. All right, so let's get into it. Christina Kincaid on Facebook is here. Hello, hello. So this book, if I want to know from those of you who are here live, y'all know it's been a while since I've busted out a book on one of these live streams, but this book is rocking my world right now. Who here has read Cybernetics? Has anyone? Give me a yes in the comments or let me know. Michelle on Facebook, hello. So good to see you. Let me know if you've read it. I am obsessed. Like, it's putting it mildly to say that I'm obsessed about this book right now. So a little bit of context and backstory though for this. So the author, this guy named Maxwell Maltz, he was a plastic surgeon, and he actually helped people who had facial scars, and he did facial plastic surgery. It was like back in the 1950s, and helped them with scar revision. And what he noticed with the surgery was that some people would have the scar revision and go on to feel, or he did a bunch of different types of surgery, I think, but like they would go on to feel like a totally different person. And they would go on to be super confident. They would go on to, like, hey, Charity, they'd go on to have so much more self-esteem, while others who had the same type of surgery experienced zero difference at all in terms of their self-image. They actually still thought that the scar or the disfigurement or whatever was there. And so he started really digging into, like, okay, it's not necessarily about the surgery itself that was creating these results, because some people who had the surgery would have tremendous increases in self-esteem, while other people who had the surgery would have nothing shift for them. So we started to dive deeper and do research in this, and research into what is our self-image and how does it actually guide the results that we create in our lives. And what he found, it's documented in this book. It's so fascinating. But he talks about, he basically coined this term called cybernetics that you can use when you dig in. You can use this to literally program yourself to achieve any result you want. So this is where it starts to get really exciting. And I'm going to do my best to explain cybernetics to you. We're going to keep it high level, but I'm going to tee it up for, like, how can you use this to achieve the results you want in your sales, in your business, and in your life. So let me know in the comments if you're excited. Give me a heart if you're like, I'm here for it. I want to find out how to literally program myself for anything I want, because I don't know about you, but that gets pretty exciting for me. So when we look at what is cybernetics, what is this big mouthful of a word? If you think about, like, a thermostat, for example, and how it's programmed. A thermostat is programmed to keep your house, to keep a room at a certain temperature, and to always keep it coming back to that temperature as well. So it's like, if it gets too hot, if it gets too cold, whatever, the job of the thermostat is to adjust back the temperature in the room to either bump up the heat or bump up the air conditioning to bring it back to that set point that the room is programmed to be at. So what Maltz found when he started really digging into the science behind this is that you, as a human being, your brain and your nervous system are also what are called cybernetic instruments. They're the same as cybernetic instruments. So what that means is that you are programmed, and a lot of this programming happens since childhood, but you are programmed to have certain like set points in different areas of your life. And whatever you've been programmed in with, whatever the programming is in your belief system, is the whole job of your brain and your nervous system is to make sure that you don't deviate from that programming, from that set point. So this is why, for example, people go on yo-yo diets, right? People will go on maybe a fad diet, lose some weight, but then what happens a couple weeks, a couple months after, they're right back where they were, right? Because they didn't shift the actual self-image, the identity underneath it. They didn't shift the real set point. This is also why with money and with finances, which is really the realm that I deal in a lot with my clients, with their financial abundance, with their sales, like you are programmed to have a certain set point financially. Michelle is saying, I'm here for it all. I love it. I love it. So am I. And I experienced this firsthand in my life. Like, this is why for so long, it didn't matter what I did in terms of tactics, in terms of strategies, I kept making the same amount of money because I had unconsciously programmed myself that that was the amount of money that I made. And it was a decent level and it was enough to live a decent life on, but it certainly wasn't expansive. It wasn't like, live your dreams type of income. And so we all have that programming in us. Coach Lay is in the house. Hello, Julie. So good to see you. But so what we want to do is if you want to know what are you programmed for, look at your results. Simply look at what are the results in your life in terms of how much money you're making, in terms of, relationships. So you can apply this to your body image, your weight as well. And so, but here's the good news. So I don't know about you, but you may hear all of that and say, well, that's slightly disheartening that I'm just programmed to have like a certain level of success in my life. And no matter what, my brain and my nervous system are going to work to keep me achieving that level. Here's the good news though. You can use this to your advantage. Most people don't. Like, most people aren't conscious of this. So they keep creating the same results again and again without being aware of how to shift it. You can literally program yourself for anything, but it takes knowing how to do it. So let's say that you're making 6 figures right now and you want to make 7 figures. This is going to sound simple. It's not to say it's like that, but literally when you use the processes that, he talks about it in this book, I teach it in my coaching, I've done it myself. When you use these processes to reprogram yourself for that higher level financial set point, the whole job of your brain and your nervous system is now to go to work, making that your reality. So we get to use this as the powerful machine that it is and be the one who's like in the driver's seat, in control of it, rather than letting our lives be controlled by the program, if that makes sense. Let me know in the comments if that makes sense. Let me know if this is like, yeah, this is actually getting exciting. And when you really dig into this stuff, it gets super, super, super exciting. So here's the thing. Again, you can shift your thermostat. You can shift your thermostat, your set point in terms of how much money you make. Thank you for the hearts. You can set it in terms of relationships. You can reset it for any reality in your life. But there's a few key things you need to know that I didn't know for a long time that kept me stuck in spinning at a certain level. And that I find when I'm working with clients too, a lot of these things are like, oh, like, it's like one little tweak will make all the difference in this. So you want to take notes. You want to be intentional about like really looking at what am I doing well and what can I tweak or shift in my approach to create a better result. So you have to first, if you want to reprogram your set point, we're going to speak about finances today. Again, you can apply this to anything. You have to have a crystal clear goal, like a very clear goal or image to work towards. So we're going to call it the success mechanism in your brain. Your brain is wired to achieve whatever it is that you think about most consistently. But so it is literally a goal achieving machine. If you've ever heard, maybe you hear someone talk about this, or maybe you hear maybe this has been your experience too, though. You hear people say like, well, I set this goal and I think about it a lot, but I keep achieving the opposite, or it keeps not happening. All that can mean is there's part of you that's thinking about what you don't want, because your brain is a goal achieving machine, but it's agnostic. So if you set a goal, but then you continuously think about it not happening, you may have heard the phrase like worry is negative visualization, which is true. You're expending your energy. You're actually directing that effort, this powerful goal achieving mechanism in your brain. What you're telling it to do is create the thing I'm thinking most about, which is about what I don't want. So it goes to work creating what you don't actually want in your life. This stuff is super powerful. So you have to give it a very clear goal or image to work towards. That's what you want. And then you want to obsess about it. Like you literally want to obsess about it. You want to think about it morning, noon, night, all the time, but not in worried, anxious energy. You want to think about it literally as, oh my gosh, I am so excited for this to be my reality. And when you understand how the brain works, and I'm going to dig in a little bit deeper in a moment into why you can know it will become your reality because of how your brain works, you don't need to know how. You just need to know you want it. And this stuff gets super exciting. It gets so exciting. So you've got to first have that clear goal. You've got to be able to see it in vivid detail, like all the way down to what would it be like if you were experiencing that thing with your senses in real life, in your physical world. So the way that your nervous system is wired, the way that your subconscious mind is wired, it does not know the difference between an event that occurs in your physical reality versus one that you think about, that you just imagine. This is why you can think about something happening that maybe gives you anxiety, and maybe it hasn't actually happened in real life, but what happens? Your heart starts racing, maybe you start sweating, you start getting anxious and fidgety. Nothing actually happened. It was all in your mind, but you created that physical response in your body in result of your thoughts. So we can use that same mechanism though to create what we do want, but we want to give it as vivid detail as possible. So when you think about like the way that I do is I think about like for my financial goal, for example, I'll think about sitting there, and the way I find out about money that's coming in is usually like I'll get an email and it's from my payment processor and it's like, we're sending you X amount of money. So I'll visualize like I'm sitting at my desk. I see an email I'm going through my email. I see an email in my inbox that says, we're sending you blank. And then it's the financial goal. And I think about like, I see myself in a certain outfit when I see that, and I feel the chair under my seat. And then I feel myself like literally jumping up and getting so excited and running out to go hug my husband, Jason. And then like Jack, my son, like dancing with us. And it's like, I feel the excitement in my body and notice the details. You want to get it in as clear, vivid picture as possible so that your brain starts to really internalize it and say, oh no, this is true. Like this literally happened. And it starts to accept the idea as true for you. So this is how you start to reprogram it. So think about like, what are you wearing? Who are you with? What are the smells? What are the sounds? What are the sights? Get it, picture it in as vivid detail as it would be if you were experiencing it with your senses in your physical world. So you have to have that super crystal clear goal that you're delivering to your, again, we're going to call it your success mechanism, your cybernetic instrument. So many long syllables and words in today's live stream. But it has to have that clear goal. It is a goal achieving machine. And if you don't give it one, it will give you whatever you think about most often, which is probably a lot of what you already have and a lot of what you don't want. So this is where you got to take control and be in the driver's seat. Something else that's so important to know about this. Your brain, the way it's wired is that once you decide on what you want and once it accepts that new vision is true for you, which just comes from repeating it again and again, the whole job of it is to then figure out the how for you. So you don't have to know the how. This is why if you hear someone say like, you may have heard me say this, like, you do not need to know how when you set a goal. You just need to know you want it. This is why you're not supposed to know how. That's the job of your cybernetic instrument in your brain, is to figure out the how, but it doesn't come until after you decide on the goal. So knowing how is not a prerequisite for the achievement of your goal. The only prerequisite is, do you want it? And isn't that exciting? Isn't that also, like, to me, that feels like we can breathe a sigh of relief and realize you don't have to micromanage the process. You don't have to know how it's going to come together. You get to actually trust and know that you've been given such a powerful tool in your body that it's literally wired to help you figure out, to come up with the how for you, but it doesn't happen until after you've committed to it. And how does it know that you've committed to it? You actually start to take action towards it. So how this works is really, really incredible. So your cybernetic mechanism, your success mechanism is in your brain. It doesn't start working for you until you take action towards the thing. Once you take action, and that usually it's doing something that declares like, no, this is happening, whether it's putting a deposit on your credit card, whether it's putting a post out on social media, I'm doing this thing next week, come join me, whether it's like booking the trip, whatever. The success mechanism in your brain does not start working on the how for you, of how it's actually going to all come together, until you make that clear, committed action step. Then immediately it starts going to work. It works spontaneously and it works on demand for you. And it's so powerful. But you cannot, what he says in this book, Cybernetics, is so powerful. You cannot wait for proof to act. You must act as if it's already there, and you have to trust that this instrument in your brain will actually come through for you to help you achieve the how. So it's such a beautiful, powerful thing to know, like, all you have to do is get clear on what you want. It's going to feel big. It's going to feel stretchy because you're not going to know the how. But again, you're not supposed to. That's the job of this part of your brain. Take an action, a clear action that shows your brain you're serious, that shows it's like, this is happening. Like, I don't know how, but I know this is happening. And then it will go to work thinking of the how to make it happen for you. And then there's one final thing that I want to share that I think we can really borrow from cybernetics, from technology, and we can use it in our own goal setting and achieving, is that when you study cybernetic instruments, so you can think too about like in missiles or like rockets to the moon, they're programmed, or airplanes, right? They're programmed to arrive at a certain destination. They are cybernetic instruments. But the vast majority of the time when they're on course, they're off course. They're going this way, they're going that way, they're zigging, they're zagging, and they have built-in technology in them that's designed to course correct. Like if it goes too far off to the right, it's programmed so that it course corrects and goes farther to the left. But if it overcorrects and overcompensates, then it has technology to course correct and get it here back on track again. But so the way that the cybernetic instruments are wired and designed is they literally forget about the things that didn't work. They only focus on repeating what does work. So it's like, as it says, oh, yes, this got me back on course. It remembers that and it programs that move in again to do again. So it only remembers the successful responses, not the failures. So what if you thought about it that way? And as you remember that you yourself have a cybernetic instrument in your brain that's literally designed, whatever you program into it, whatever destination, it's designed to get you there. But are you spending time thinking about what didn't work in the past? Are you giving that precious, that powerful thought energy to thinking about what you don't want? Well, guess what? It's kind of like you're using it wrong, right? You're doing it wrong. And what if you borrowed a page from the book of how, when we program technology, how it works, and said, oh, actually, I can just forget about the past failures because that didn't get me the result I wanted. So let me focus on what's working and double down on that, and know that your brain is designed to do that. Actually, your brain is designed to focus on what's working, what's going to get me closer to this goal. And I can actually just forget about the things that didn't work in the past, because that's not going to help me get there. So what if you thought about it that way? And that's actually something new that I've incorporated into my visioning, is something from this book, is like literally before you start visualizing what you do want and what you want to create, I think back to a time in my life where I did something well. And what he says in this book, which is great, is like, if you can tie your shoe, if you can brush your teeth, you can achieve anything you want, because it shows that your brain can take a goal and take something that you didn't used to be able to do, and then you can achieve something new. So we can all like take the pressure off that we have to be so like such perfect people to achieve big results, right? But I think about a time in my life where I did something that I was proud of, a time that something worked well, and I think back to that time and cultivate that energy in my body and that feeling in my body. And then I carry that now into the visualization of what I'm creating next, because it's about building on wins and building on successes and reminding ourselves of, like, we've done amazing things. Like, you've done amazing things in your life. And you can't let the monkey brain go and start thinking about all the things that it's fearful of, worried about, yada, yada. And if you know how this stuff works, and remember to focus that energy and attention on what is working and what you have done that you're proud of, and more importantly, where you want to go from here, you'll get radically different results. So that's it for you today, my friend. Christina is saying it takes some pressure off. I've had a clear goal and I'm so close. Yeah. And like, when we can think about setting and achieving goals like that, like literally you just program in the destination you want to go, and then you trust that you're going to get there. You take the action, you know that you've got to take a decisive, declarative, this is happening action in order for that mechanism in your brain to kick in and help you get there. So that's the important thing. You got to show it you mean business. But when you do that, it goes to work, working for you. You don't need to know how. It's going to bring you inspired ideas, inspired actions, things to do to help you achieve that result. And it's just so fun and it's just so powerful. And I love this stuff, because I think about, like, when I was struggling, to make more money for a while in my career and things felt hard. It's like, I didn't know this stuff. Or even when I felt like I was doing okay, but I felt stuck. If I had just known this stuff, like, life would have been much easier. So I wanted to share this with you today, and I hope it inspires you. As always, like, send me a DM. Let me know what your questions are on this. Let me know how I can help support you in this. I'm always so honored when you share our weekly live streams with your network, and just knowing that it supports you and it's empowering to you is what I'm here for and what I'm all about. So that's it for today. I'm going to go prep we've got an awesome 50K club group call coming up in just a bit with one of my mentors. It's going to be phenomenal. I may share a tiny bit behind the scenes on Instagram for that. But thank you for being here today. Send me, like I said, DM me. Let me know if I can help support you in any way. You're amazing. And I will see you next Monday for our next weekly Sales Supercharge. Bye for now.